Hello friends. What happens when fire meets water? Not just any fire, but the untamed flame of an Aries man, and not just any water, but the deep, mysterious tides of a Scorpio woman. Is it a passionate inferno or a perfect storm? Let's dive deep, and I mean deep, into the intense, magnetic, and sometimes explosive connection between an Aries man and a Scorpio woman. We're talking love, sex, marriage, friendship, and business. Buckle up, because this is more than astrology, this is chemistry on a cosmic scale. Love, the battlefield and the ballet. Imagine two souls who were never meant to settle for average, one wielding fire like a sword, the other moving through shadows like a queen of chess. This is the love dynamic of an Aries man and a Scorpio woman, not a gentle river, but a tempestuous sea. It begins not with a whisper, but with a spark, the kind that sets entire forests ablaze. He's bold, immediate, and passionate. She's deep, strategic, and unfathomably intense. Their love isn't soft, it's a collision of wills, a dramatic saga written in the stars, where every glance is a negotiation and every touch feels like the world tipping on its axis. The Aries man charges forward in love like he's entering battle. There is no hesitation, no overthinking. His affection is a fire that demands fuel, attention, admiration, presence. He's a risk-taker in romance, often falling hard and fast, intoxicated by the thrill of the chase and the adrenaline of mutual desire. Love for Aries is conquest, but not of dominance, of loyalty. He wants to win someone who inspires him, someone worthy of standing beside his flame. Enter Scorpio. She doesn't fall, she sinks. Slowly, deliberately, like a stone through dark water. Her love builds beneath the surface, layer by protective layer, until one day, without warning, she lets you in. She's not easily impressed, not easily moved, but once her heart chooses, it does so with a haunting permanence. She doesn't express love through declarations, she shows it through loyalty, depth, and the kind of emotional attention that borders on telepathy. For her, love is not a game. It's a surrender of power she doesn't give lightly. But what happens when the impatient meets the impenetrable? When a man who needs constant action collides with a woman who needs constant emotional depth? That's when love becomes a high-stakes dance, one foot in paradise, the other in war. Aries pushes. Scorpio resists. Aries says what he means. Scorpio says what she implies. Their languages of love are different, but their needs are aligned: total devotion, complete loyalty, and a connection that transcends the physical. What makes this relationship magnetic, and maddening, is the power dynamic. Both Aries and Scorpio want to lead, but in different ways. Aries leads from the front, loud and proud. Scorpio leads from the shadows, quiet but absolute. Neither wants to be dominated. Both crave respect. And this is where their love story becomes mythic, when they finally learn to share the throne. Jealousy is a common demon here. Aries wants transparency, Scorpio wants control. Aries flirts openly, not out of disloyalty, but because he thrives on attention. Scorpio doesn't flirt, she observes, she tests, she possesses. If Aries forgets to reassure her, she'll retreat into silence or strike back with emotional venom. If Scorpio gets too secretive, Aries will storm out in frustration, feeling locked out of a room he's dying to enter. Yet, when these two finally tune into each other's frequencies, something miraculous happens. Aries teaches Scorpio to be bold with her heart, to risk vulnerability in the name of passion. Scorpio teaches Aries to slow down, to feel with his soul, not just his pulse. And when they both get it right, their love becomes transformative. This isn't the kind of relationship that lets you stay the same person. It evolves you, elevates you, and yes, sometimes tears you apart only to rebuild you stronger. They'll fight, but not to destroy, to be understood. They'll love, but not in half measures, in complete immersion. Together, they create a connection that is raw, real, and relentlessly intense. And while some couples might look for peace, Aries and Scorpio look for purpose. Their love means something. It challenges the limits of ego, teaches the power of surrender, and proves that sometimes, the hardest love stories are the most unforgettable. So, is it a battlefield? Absolutely. Is it a ballet? Yes, if you watch closely enough. Because behind every power struggle is deep admiration. Behind every sharp word is desperate desire. And beneath all that chaos, is a love that refuses to burn out. It just burns brighter. Sex, the magnetic storm. This isn't casual. This isn't routine. When an Aries man and a Scorpio woman meet in the realm of physical intimacy, it's less a meeting of bodies and more a celestial collision. Their sexual connection doesn't simmer, it ignites. It's not just chemistry, it's combustion. What begins as physical quickly becomes elemental, as if the universe itself held its breath the moment these two touched. The Aries man is fire incarnate, impulsive, primal, and driven by a need to conquer, to explore, to feel. For him, sex is a physical sport, an adventure, a burst of adrenaline that connects pleasure with presence. He's turned on by passion, heat, and the wild energy of the moment. There's little pretense in his desire, it's straightforward, burning, and immediate. He wants to feel, now. The Scorpio woman, by contrast, is the high priestess of sensual depth. She isn't interested in surface-level connection. Her sensuality is rich, layered, and purposeful. For her, sex is a portal, a psychological and emotional experience that opens up intimacy, power, and even transformation. She doesn't just want touch. She wants to merge. To be consumed. To consume. Every kiss is a test. Every touch, a revelation. Every climax, a confession. So what happens when Aries flame meets Scorpio's water? You'd expect steam, and you'd be right. But it's not the gentle kind. This is pressure cooker intensity. It's the heat of lava meeting the ocean, violent, mesmerizing, unforgettable. There's a thrilling imbalance in the way they initiate. Aries acts first, thinks later. He'll light the match without worrying where the fire will spread. Scorpio waits. Watches. Assesses. She'll take her time, letting the moment swell with tension, building seduction like a slow-burning fuse. Aries wants it now. Scorpio wants it real. This is where their differences either elevate the experience or unravel it. If the Aries man rushes, treating intimacy like a race to the finish, Scorpio will sense it, and shut down. She won't argue, won't plead. She'll simply disappear emotionally, pulling into herself like a fortress with no doors. But if Aries learns to be present, to go beyond the mechanics of sex and connect to her mind and spirit, the reward is staggering. She'll give herself over completely, with a devotion that borders on spiritual. And what does Scorpio offer Aries in return? Depth. Mystery. The thrill of unraveling someone who can't be easily read. For the Aries man, used to immediate gratification, Scorpio becomes the ultimate challenge. Her allure lies in the fact that she's never fully conquerable, and yet, completely addictive. The deeper he goes, the more he realizes how much more there is to discover. This keeps the passion alive far beyond the honeymoon phase. One of the most powerful aspects of their sexual compatibility is the way it evolves. For Aries, who can sometimes burn bright and fade fast, Scorpio teaches the power of prolonged passion. Not every fire has to explode and die. Some flames smolder. Some become a source of life. And for Scorpio, Aries brings spontaneity, fire, and a spark that pulls her out of her emotional fortress and into the joy of raw, uninhibited pleasure. However, this bond can become dangerous if mishandled. Aries' bluntness and occasional selfishness can wound Scorpio, who needs to feel safe to surrender. And Scorpio's emotional intensity can overwhelm Aries, who may misinterpret her passion as pressure or manipulation. Trust, communication, and emotional maturity are essential if they want to avoid turning their fire and water dynamic into smoke and ash. But when they get it right, their sexual union becomes a source of healing, passion, and transformation. It's not just an experience, it's a metamorphosis. They strip away each other's defenses, pushing beyond physical satisfaction into something deeper, darker, and more divine. It's rare. It's raw. And it's absolutely unforgettable. With Aries and Scorpio, sex isn't just sex. It's an initiation. A storm. A ritual. And once they step into it, neither will ever be the same. Marriage, the long game. Marriage between an Aries man and a Scorpio woman isn't for the faint of heart, it's for those who dare to dive deep while still reaching for the stars. This isn't a predictable love story. It's a test of growth, of power, of soul. Theirs is a union built on two incredibly strong, incredibly different foundations, one rooted in fire and action, the other in depth and intensity. And that's exactly why, when it works, it doesn't just function, it flourishes into something unforgettable. The Aries man comes into marriage like a warrior with a dream. He wants excitement. He wants a partner who inspires him, keeps him challenged, and most importantly, keeps up with his hunger for life. He's spontaneous, bold, and allergic to stagnation. A safe life doesn't appeal to him, he's looking for adventure, for intensity, for someone who can match his speed. Marriage, for Aries, must never feel like a trap. It must feel like a thrilling mission with a partner who's in it for the ride, come lightning or lava. The Scorpio woman, on the other hand, approaches marriage like a sacred pact. This isn't a game for her, it's a life contract written in emotional ink. She seeks loyalty, devotion, and emotional truth. Her idea of intimacy isn't just physical or practical, it's spiritual. She wants to build a world with her partner, brick by brick, with walls no one else can penetrate. To her, marriage is about transformation, about choosing each other, every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So what happens when these two collide under one roof, sharing one life? Initially, it's magnetic. The Aries man is drawn to her power, her mystique, her almost supernatural depth. He feels alive around her, challenged, intrigued, and just a little off balance. And she sees in him a flame she can't look away from. He's honest in a world full of liars, brave in a world full of cowards. He makes her feel things, not just safe, but seen. But the challenges? Oh, they're real. One of the core issues in their marital dynamic is control. Aries wants freedom, he needs to breathe, to roam, to make decisions on instinct. Scorpio needs security, she thrives on emotional closeness, on knowing the bond is unwavering and exclusive. When Aries disappears into his own world, chasing some new dream or adrenaline rush, Scorpio may feel abandoned, or worse, suspicious. Her reaction? Intensify her emotional grip. But to Aries, that can feel like confinement. To make this work long-term, compromise must become a daily practice. Aries has to understand that emotional transparency isn't weakness, it's the currency Scorpio needs to feel safe. A casual, "I love you," isn't enough, she needs to see his loyalty in action, in consistency, in emotional presence. And Scorpio must resist the urge to test him, to challenge his loyalty with silence or passive withdrawal. Aries doesn't respond to mind games, he'll simply walk away. Communication is their battlefield and their bridge. Aries communicates with fire, direct, unfiltered, sometimes blunt. Scorpio communicates with water, intuitive, complex, sometimes too subtle. Misunderstandings are inevitable unless they commit to meeting in the middle, Aries learning to pause and listen, Scorpio learning to speak without veiled meanings. Yet, beneath these challenges lies the potential for one of the most dynamic, unbreakable bonds in the zodiac. When they choose each other, not out of need, but out of fierce respect, their marriage becomes a place of radical growth. Aries keeps Scorpio's world from becoming too heavy, too guarded. He reminds her to laugh, to leap, to live in the moment. Scorpio keeps Aries grounded, connected, emotionally awake. She teaches him the beauty of stillness, of consistency, of enduring love. Their marriage won't look like anyone else's. It won't be all flowers and candlelit dinners. It'll be arguments at midnight followed by intense reconciliation. It'll be years of learning each other's language and still being surprised. But it'll also be a bond that no storm can break. Because when fire and water truly blend, they don't cancel each other out. They create steam, power, movement, life. If they're willing to evolve together, to fight for each other instead of with each other, then what they'll have isn't just a marriage. It's a legacy. Friendship, the secret pact. The friendship between an Aries man and a Scorpio woman is anything but ordinary. It's deep, complicated, and sometimes hard-won. This isn't a duo that becomes fast friends at a party or clicks over small talk. Their bond begins quietly, even cautiously. Aries, all fire and momentum, often charges into social dynamics headfirst. Scorpio, ever the strategist, watches from the edges, calculating, assessing, silently evaluating who's worth her energy. She doesn't trust easily, and he doesn't wait around long. But when these two lock eyes long enough to recognize a kindred fire in each other, something rare begins to form. At first, it's all about contrast. Aries thinks Scorpio's hard to read, too intense, maybe even a little intimidating. She speaks in codes and silences, while he wears his heart on his sleeve and acts before he thinks. Scorpio, meanwhile, sees Aries as impulsive and maybe a bit chaotic, exciting, yes, but unpredictable in ways she finds dangerous. And yet, something about that danger feels familiar. Feels honest. Feels real. When this friendship begins to take root, it does so in a quiet, subterranean way. There are no grand declarations or instant, best-eat moments. Instead, it's small acts of loyalty, subtle tests passed, and unspoken understanding that slowly bind them. Aries proves his loyalty not with words but with action, showing up when it counts, fighting for Scorpio when others would run. Scorpio proves her devotion by trusting Aries with parts of herself few ever get to see, her fears, her dreams, her darkest truths. These are not surface-level friends. These are ride-or-die allies. Their chemistry as friends is surprisingly powerful. Aries brings spontaneity, movement, and that, let's just do it, energy that Scorpio sometimes needs to escape her mental mazes. With Aries, she laughs more. Feels lighter. Feels seen without having to explain herself. Aries, in turn, finds in Scorpio a depth he didn't know he needed, someone who gets him beyond the surface, who reads his mood without a word, and who offers guidance that actually lands. Scorpio doesn't flatter. She tells the truth. And Aries respects the hell out of that. Together, they're the friends you want in your corner when life gets hard. Crisis. Scorpio's already calculated the backup plan. Chaos. Aries is already kicking down doors. They balance each other in a strange, compelling way, his action with her strategy, his speed with her caution, his enthusiasm with her intensity. Whether it's a cross-country road trip, launching a project, or just venting in the dark over coffee and long silences, they sync up like gears that weren't supposed to fit, but somehow do. Still, this bond isn't without danger. Both Aries and Scorpio have massive pride. Both are intensely self-reliant. And both have short patience for betrayal, real or perceived. Aries, with his fiery nature, can say things that cut too deep, too fast. Scorpio, with her emotional X-ray vision, can strike where it hurts most. If they ever fall out, it's not a simple spat. It's a full-blown Cold War. And the tragedy is that neither may break the silence first. Not because they don't care, but because they care too much. That's why mutual respect and emotional honesty are the foundation of this friendship. Aries has to understand that Scorpio's silence doesn't mean indifference, it means she's processing. And Scorpio has to recognize that Aries' loud, sometimes brash demeanor hides a surprisingly sensitive core. When they give each other that grace, when they stop assuming and start listening, their friendship becomes nearly indestructible. Time only strengthens this bond. As they go through life, through heartbreaks, victories, breakdowns, and reinventions, Aries and Scorpio don't drift apart. They dig deeper. They become the type of friends who don't need constant check-ins to stay connected. The type who show up at 2 a.m. without asking questions. The type who carry each other's secrets like sacred vows. So no, their friendship won't always be smooth. But it will always be real. And in a world where so many relationships are transactional or temporary, Aries and Scorpio offer something rare. Loyalty without limits. Connection without compromise. And a pact that doesn't have to be spoken to be eternal. It's not about being best friends in the traditional sense. It's about being true ones, the kind that only happens once in a lifetime. Business, the power duo. Put an Aries man and a Scorpio woman in the same boardroom, and the atmosphere shifts, you can feel it. There's ambition in the air. Drive. Danger. Not the reckless kind, but the thrilling, unstoppable kind that builds empires. These two aren't just co-workers or co-founders. They're a volatile, brilliant business equation: fire meets ice, speed meets precision, impulse meets strategy. If they can stop trying to outmaneuver each other and actually join forces, they don't just play the game, they change it. The Aries man is pure momentum. He's the spark, the risk-taker, the guy who sees an opening and charges before the door is even halfway open. He thrives on action, thrives on competition, and has the rare courage to bet on himself when no one else will. Aries doesn't overthink, he moves. He's a natural entrepreneur, constantly hatching ideas and pushing projects forward with infectious energy. He talks big, dreams bigger, and has the stamina to chase those dreams through fire and failure. Now enter the Scorpio woman, not with fireworks, but with quiet intensity. She doesn't need to be loud to command the room. She's the strategist, the observer, the power player who's already mapped out the next 5 years while everyone else is still working on this quarter. She understands influence, psychology, risk, and timing. Her strength is in the shadows, behind the scenes, pulling strings with surgical precision. She's not here to play, she's here to own. Together, Aries and Scorpio form a business partnership that's both dynamic and dangerous. Aries brings the bold vision, Scorpio ensures it's bulletproof. He launches, she perfects. He's the face of the brand, she's the force behind the curtain. It's like watching a startup founder and a private equity shark run the same company, wild ideas grounded by cold-blooded precision. But let's not sugarcoat it, the power struggle is real. Both are born leaders. Both have strong opinions. And both hate being told what to do. If Aries tries to steamroll decisions, charging ahead without Scorpio's input, she'll shut down, go silent, and start pulling levers behind his back. And if Scorpio tries to micromanage or manipulate the direction of the business, Aries will explode, he'll rebel hard, sometimes destructively, because nothing makes him bolt like feeling caged. The trick to success is division of power and trust. Aries has to respect Scorpio's strategic mind, even if her methods are slower or more subtle than his. And Scorpio has to trust Aries' instincts, even when they seem reckless. She has to believe that his madness has purpose, and he has to see that her caution is not control, but care. When they get this balance right, magic happens. Aries becomes more than just a starter, he becomes a closer, thanks to Scorpio's refinement. And Scorpio becomes more than a planner, she learns to take bolder steps, thanks to Aries' fearlessness. They sharpen each other. Aries brings urgency to Scorpio's plans, pushing her to act faster. Scorpio brings structure to Aries' chaos, giving his ambition direction and staying power. They also complement each other in the roles they naturally gravitate toward. Aries is the front-facing force, the speaker, the seller, the brand builder. He's charisma, confidence, and momentum. Scorpio is the secret weapon, the one running analytics, reading contracts, assessing risk, and making decisions that keep the company 6 moves ahead of the competition. Aries shines in the spotlight, Scorpio thrives in the war room. Even their disagreements, when managed with respect, become assets. Aries forces Scorpio to move when she might overanalyze. Scorpio forces Aries to think when he might leap. Their tension becomes a creative forge, producing sharper solutions, more resilient plans, and bolder strategies. The fire doesn't burn the business down, it forges it into steel. But make no mistake, this partnership only works with complete honesty and loyalty. If either one senses betrayal, if Scorpio thinks Aries is being reckless with her trust, or if Aries feels Scorpio is playing mind games, the fallout is severe. These two don't just walk away from failed partnerships. They destroy them. Which is why transparency, clear communication, and mutual respect aren't optional, they're survival. Still, when Aries and Scorpio are aligned in vision and trust, they are a powerhouse. A business duo that doesn't just climb the ladder, they build their own. Their ventures don't just succeed, they dominate. Their company culture reflects their values, bold, strategic, unshakable. This is not a traditional partnership. It's not always easy. But it's revolutionary. Because when Aries lights the match, and Scorpio guides the flame, they don't just launch a business. They ignite a legacy. So, are they compatible? Here's the unfiltered truth, the pairing of an Aries man and a Scorpio woman isn't for the faint of heart. It's not a match built for peace and predictability. It's built for power, intensity, and soul-shaking transformation. They are one of the most complex combinations in the zodiac, filled with contradiction and potential. This isn't the love story where everything lines up perfectly from day one. This is the one where sparks fly, walls come down, and two very different people discover how far they're willing to go, not just for love, but for growth. Aries is raw, instinctual, a live wire. He speaks before he thinks, loves before he questions, and dives into relationships like he's diving off a cliff. Scorpio is deep, deliberate, an emotional architect who never hands out her heart without doing a full security scan. He wants to charge forward. She wants to understand the map before taking the first step. That alone creates friction, and friction is either what sets this relationship on fire, or what burns it down. Their compatibility doesn't come from similarity. It comes from their capacity to grow through each other. Aries forces Scorpio out of her fortress, pulling her into the present, making her feel more alive than she's ever been. He doesn't ask for permission, he just shows up with a blazing heart and says, "Let's live." And for a Scorpio woman, who often feels everything but keeps it all locked inside, that kind of presence is intoxicating. It's terrifying. It's everything. Meanwhile, Scorpio teaches Aries the value of introspection. Of waiting. Of going deeper instead of just moving faster. She teaches him that passion is more than a moment, it's a journey. Aries may light the fire, but Scorpio knows how to keep it burning through storms. Her loyalty, once given, is unshakable. But she doesn't give it to just anyone. Aries must earn it, over and over, not by being perfect, but by being real. Still, the road to compatibility isn't smooth. These two are both alpha energies. They both want control in different ways. Aries wants to lead out loud. Scorpio leads in silence. Aries confronts directly. Scorpio manipulates the chessboard from the shadows. That means power struggles are common. Arguments can be explosive. Neither one backs down easily, and both can be painfully stubborn. When they clash, it's not petty, it's primal. But that's exactly why, when they choose each other despite all that, it means something more. They don't fall into love. They fight for it. They build it. They earn it. And in that struggle, in that journey, they transform into the best versions of themselves. Scorpio becomes more open, more trusting, more willing to feel joy in the moment. Aries becomes more grounded, more emotionally aware, more conscious of the depth behind desire. This isn't a love story that coasts. It's one that climbs. One that asks for effort, for sacrifice, for uncomfortable honesty. But the reward is unparalleled. When these two commit, not just to each other, but to the work, they create a love that doesn't fade. A love that defies logic. A love that can weather betrayal, distance, silence, and time. Because it's not built on convenience, it's built on transformation. Aries needs water not to put out his fire, but to shape it, to give it direction, purpose, longevity. Scorpio needs fire not to destroy her waters, but to warm them, to awaken, to move, to feel. They are each other's antidote. Each other's awakening. Together, they are not always peaceful, but they are always alive. So if you're wondering if an Aries man and a Scorpio woman can work, the answer is yes. But only if both are willing to stop trying to win and start trying to understand. If both are willing to drop the masks, to risk vulnerability, to stop controlling and start connecting, they will become something rare. Something powerful. Not the couple that everyone understands. The couple that everyone remembers. So if you're caught in this dynamic, if you're feeling the pull, the challenge, the intensity, don't run. Don't overthink it. Lean in. Learn. Fight. Grow. Because what you found isn't just compatibility. It's legacy-level love. Legendary, flawed, explosive, healing, unforgettable. And if you can make it work, there's nothing you two can't conquer.